we're seeing more and more people have this thing called hypothyroidism or have the need to have thyroid prescription medication. Well, let's talk a little bit about what is the thyroid in the first place.
Well, the thyroid is a little pair of glands that sit kind of right in here, right
Yeah.
there on the side of the throat area, and the brain actually signals from the pituitary to the or hypothalamus to the pituitary to the thyroid to say, "Hey guys, produce." Thyroid, as a general rule, controls metabolism, heart rate, and body temperature, and it has a lot to do with the immune system. It's important, right? But people today are really into that, or commonly falling into that trap of hypo or low thyroid function. Why?
Well, a lot of that comes from this thing called leaky gut, where the digestive system gets barraged from the standard American diet, and all of a sudden large proteins are now getting into the system that shouldn't be, and the body creates antibodies, and then these antibodies essentially attack the thyroid and slowly through time lower thyroid function. So
Yeah.
people start having things like difficulty in thinking. They start feeling depressed or blue. Their speech becomes impaired. They start putting on lots and lots of weight. They have low energy. They may even have muscle weakness. And
Yeah.
a common symptom is constipation. They don't move their bowels like they should. Their hair becomes brittle and their nails become weak. And that's all related back to the thyroid, and it could also be related back to the gut and the inability to absorb the right nutrients.
And they're also cold all the time too.
Yes.
Really hypersensitivity to cold. It's like everybody that's probably listening right now can imagine this. Picture a guy sitting in a chair that's in his 80s with a blanket on. You walk in the room and you notice the thermostat sitting at 78. You're sweating, but he's cold. What's the riddle, Batman? Well, the thing is, he's got a hypothyroid condition and nobody deals with it. I was on national TV the other evening, and it was talking about the obesity crisis and all this stuff. And I was asked the question, do we and should we be blaming thyroid for the obesity crisis? And actually, it's the other way around. You mentioned leaky gut, which I think was brilliant. So leaky gut is going to create fat gain as well around the midsection. Well, the fat actually creates a hormone called leptin, which is supposed to go to the brain and kind of tell the brain that, hey, we've got excess fuel here. And that's supposed to translate to the thyroid to say, thyroid, turn up the metabolism. That's why when we're younger, we can pretty much see that system cranking our energy level and our metabolism so fast you can't gain weight. But in this case, you're gaining weight so fast, the body gets overwhelmed. And instead of the brain hearing, I have sufficient fuel, the brain hears instead, I've got no fuel because we become leptin resistant. And that in turn communicates to the thyroid that we've got no fuel. So therefore, we've got to turn everything down. So actually it is gaining weight precipitates most time the lower thyroid function, which precipitates more weight gain, which precipitates more thyroid dysfunction.
Yes, and it's in, patients will come and say, well, I want my thyroid tested, and we'll run a full battery of testing, and those tests include the TSH.
Yep.
Oftentimes people get the labs mixed up. They think if TSH is low, their thyroid is low.
Right.
Well, when we're talking about thyroid labs, it's an inverse relationship. The TSH should be towards the low end of the range, and then the T4, which is like this inactive storage pool, should be at the high end of range, as well as the T3. So T4 loses an iodine and it becomes T3, the active metabolic hormone. Now, inside the cells, we really can't measure what's going on inside the cells.
No.
There are some people that need a little bit more active T3 passing past those receptors to get inside the cell to do metabolic work. So that's why sometimes just a simple T4 medication isn't the be-all, end-all for
Right.
all people.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it right there because people need to know this. If you're going to check your thyroid and be complete, TSH, T4, T3. You might want to check a reverse T3, which is something that kind of goes up when there's a lot of stress. And certainly you want to test the 2 thyroid antibodies. But you said something key there, and we're not anti-T4 medications. Those would be things like people have heard of like levothyroxine, Synthroid. Those are T4s that actually convert to T3s. But sometimes they don't convert, do they?
That's correct. Each person has an ability through the deiodinases, which are enzymes that take that iodine component off of a T4 to make it T3. They're genetically weak in the production of that enzyme. So therefore, they can't make the active T3, and they need to be supported a little bit more than the person who can deiodinate in the appropriate manner and get that active free T3 pool that they need to do the metabolic work.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, you're thinking, those terms are like crazy. Just know that most labs have an average T3, free T3 score of about 2.0 to 4.4. You want to be somewhere on the higher end of that. Probably middle 3s would be a good place to be. TSH somewhere between 0.75 and probably 1.5 is a good general range. But the bottom line is hypothyroidism is super common today, isn't it?
It is super common. And before we go to medication, we're always going to clean a person's diet up. We're always going to help them heal that leaky gut. And we're always going to give them the nutrients that the thyroid needs to function better. Those are things like L-tyrosine. That's going to be iodine. That's going to be zinc. That's going to be selenium. And the components that help the thyroid make active thyroid hormone.
So there you go. You don't have to deal with hypothyroidism. Even though you're listening right now, you might be. Very common. But understand the dynamics of it, understand what causes it, and test the right labs and do the right things. It can be very complex. So if you need help with that, need some instruction with that, reach out to us. We'll be glad and honored to help you. You can go to Sherwood.tv or just give us a call. Up next, our financial guru, Kirk Elliott, gives us advice on what you need to know at this time in history.
Hey friends, you already know the answer to this, but we'll ask you anyway. If you stay away from your favorite junk food for a month and then go back to supersizing it, will your health improve?
Well, that's the thing about change. To change, we have to be as consistent as possible.
And when we go back to an old habit, it's not the end of the world. We just get back at the new habit.
Before you know it, real transformation is evident to you and others.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life, and we'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.
Hey there, Kevin Sorbo here. Now, deep down, we know this. We're more than just a brain and a body. We're a spirit, we're a soul, and we're also a physical temple. If you hit the wall when you're trying to improve one aspect of your being, it's probably because, well, other aspects are sabotaging our success. So that's why diets don't work. And frankly, why so much conventional wisdom from our so-called medical establishments falls flat. Doctors Michelle and Mark Sherwood have a very different approach. I should know because I happen to be one of their patients. They address the whole person to get to know you, your challenges, and more importantly, what your goals are. Then they offer a complete plan that addresses your unique biology and your heart. They'll help you discover what you need to experience transformation. So find out more at sherwood.tv/sorbo. That's sherwood.tv/sorbo, or see the link before. Now I'm heading for a workout. You should be going for a workout too. All right, guys. God bless.